Hey there, Columbus. It's Seabus Nathan. I am excited to break down what happened in the housing market in Central Ohio in 2025 and what we can look for in 2026. So if you are somebody who has been following the housing trends or just wants to know a little bit more about what's going on in Columbus and nationally, this is going to be a great video to educate you and help set you up for 2026. So in December, we saw steady market activity, which is great because December is normally one of the slower months in the real estate market. And we saw the best December that we've had nationally in the past 3 years. So what that tells us is there are still a lot of buyers out there that are looking to make that move. And I'm going to break down some of those stats that we saw here in Central Ohio for December alone. So closed sales in December, we had 2,291 homes closed in December, and that's up 5.6% compared to December of 2024. So again, we see that increase year over year, which is great. The median sales price, we are at $322,000, which is just slightly higher than what it was last December. We were at $320,000 last December. And the days on the market, it took about 43 days for homes to sell, which is about 19% slower than what it has been in the past. So with all of this being said, you can see that buyers in December started to have a little bit more power. I've been talking about it in my previous market stat videos, but we are seeing it even more so here. Longer days on market, that is great for buyers so that they don't have to make such rush decisions, but also seeing that homes are selling higher than they were this time last year is showing a strong market here in Columbus and a consistent market here in Columbus. So moving away from just December and looking at 2025 as a whole compared to 2024. So let's just break down some of these stats. We had annual closed sales were 29,626 homes in 2025, which is a 3% increase over what we saw in 2024. Total sales volume, we hit just over 11.1 billion in 2025 here in Central Ohio, and that's up from 10.5 billion in 2024. We're seeing those price trends across. The average sales price has increased about 3% year over year. And the median sales price was up about 2.4% compared to 2024. So again, with all of this being said, it kind of goes back to what I said about December. We are seeing increase in sales in Columbus. The market is still very much active, and home prices are continuing to increase. So, we've heard it a lot in the past couple years that we're waiting for this market crash. And, I feel like us realtors are just, we have to take a deep breath whenever we hear that. But what we're seeing is that, the market is starting to stabilize a little bit more. So we're moving away from that strong seller's market into a more stable buyer market for the Columbus area. So expanding from Columbus, Ohio, and looking at the real estate market as a whole nationally. So in 2025, we are still at a 3-decade low for home sales at right around 4.06 million. Let me make sure I got that correct. And we're seeing that those national median prices increased slightly at about 1.7%. So, you can see from what the national headlines are doing compared to what the Columbus market is doing, there is a bit of a difference. So, things have slowed a little bit nationally, but here in Columbus, we are still seeing that gradual increase in property values, home sales, and it's showing that there's a strong market here within the Central Ohio region. And we had a small dip in those interest rates near the end of last year, which continued to push that buyer activity. And If they stay lower at where they are now, I guess lower than what they have been recently, then we are expecting to continue to see that buyer activity move into 2026. So what does this all mean for you if you're a buyer or a seller watching this currently? So for buyers, we're seeing that there is more inventory, which means less competition among those houses that are on the market. So you have a little bit more power within the market. And if you can take advantage, if you're in a position where you're ready to buy now, I've had a couple buyers that I've been working with recently who I've gotten in contract within this first month of the year. If you can take advantage of that now, that would be key to set you up before the spring market hits. So historically, the spring market, that's when we see a larger influx of buyers enter into the market, and home sales that are happening now are going to influence the home prices that come in spring. So if you're somebody who is ready to make that move and you know you want to do that for 2026, it would be a great time to reach out to your local realtor, aka me, hopefully, if you're here in Central Ohio, and we can start to set you up so that you can get locked into a home, hopefully before the spring market craziness happens this year. If you're a seller, this means that you need to be really strategic about how you price your homes. I said this all throughout 2025 as well, but making sure that you list your home a fair market price is key. We're not in the early 2020s market anymore where, you could throw your home up there and you were having multiple offers, multiple showings. You need to make sure that you are hiring a professional that does exceptional marketing, that can make sure that they can negotiate on your behalf and knows the market and can price your home correctly. Again, you need to use me. I'm just saying. So whether you're a buyer or a seller, we are seeing that 2026 will hopefully continue on the trends that we've seen in the past few years where things have started to stabilize, but we're still seeing that growth within the market. So again, as if you were somebody who is sitting on the sidelines waiting for this quote unquote market crash, from what we're seeing, in the past and what we are seeing or predicting coming up in the future, especially here in Columbus, we are a little bit insulated from that national market, as you could see from those stats that I talked about. I should say, would encourage you to maybe explore the option of getting into the market sooner than later, because as Columbus continues to grow and increase, I would hate for anyone who's lived here or wants to live here and own here to be priced out of the market. So that is a wrap on the 2025 housing market here for Central Ohio. If you are looking to enter the market this year, whether it's going to be buying or selling, I would love to have a conversation with you if you are located in the Central Ohio area. If you're located beyond and you want to be matched with a realtor who has, the same knowledge and energy level as myself, I would be happy to connect you with an agent at whatever state you live in currently. So as always, my name is C-Bus Nathan. I put out videos every Friday. Please like, subscribe, follow along, and I will see you next week.